Mr. Begley, members of the board, we do have several items for board discussion this evening. Our first item is our book study. This will be our last discussion of the year. And let's see, it looks like this evening we will be discussing pages 133 through 194. I'll turn it back over to Mr. Begley.
Sure. Chapters 5 and 6 to finish the book. Anyone want to lead us out here?
Yeah, since you read what I wanted to read last time.
Absolutely.
Like I said before, I'm not much on reading since high school. But one sentence that stuck out to me was take time to smile and laugh and encourage others to have fun. When it's no longer fun going to work, it's time to find something else. And that's how I've lived my life.
It resonated for you?
Yep.
On page 134, I had the story about Michael, and I wrote off the side, I know this student, not his story, not that particular student, Michael, but I know that student. Michael was a difficult student long before the incident in my classroom. I had heard from several teachers that he was not going to make it because he didn't care about school. And for many down below, also highlighted, for many of our kids, school is a safe place, or a place that they feel safe. And, it goes back to what we was talking to a minute ago about the EL students. This is a safe place for them. And a lot of kids that have issues and they keep them inside and they just need somebody to know that they're going to make it, and they have an advocate, which could be their teacher, could be their coach, bus driver.
Absolutely.
And that story of Michael resonated with me as well. I've mentioned during these meetings before that I used to do a lot of work in the juvenile justice system. And when you say that, school is the safest place for some kids, that is true. I worked with a lot of kids where school was their refuge every day. And then, kids on the other side that were in the process because they had been accused of doing something. A lot of times, I don't think I ever ran into a case where I thought, how did this happen? As you get to know each child and their situation or whatever, things start to make sense. There's something there. And the story with Michael and what happened to him that sort of changed his behavior. Really, I felt that because I'd seen it so many times before. I'd seen that story so many times before.
On page 136, that last paragraph, although we recognize that home visits are not a novel idea, it has given our families and our staff an avenue for communication. Ultimately, we wanted to create a sense of hope, togetherness, or hope that together we can provide positive environment where students felt valued and safe. The personal connections we made with these students and their families were the first step towards making a positive difference in their lives of these students and who had been identified as high risk. And it goes back to what Ms. Gundram just said about sometimes they get tagged, and I know a lot of kids, I grew up with those kids. I was probably one of those kids. And as you go to a next level, teachers talk. Not necessarily in our district, but teachers talk. And brothers and sisters, they act differently. But when we show we care, home visits or just smiles in the hallways, I think later on it talks about a teacher giving high fives and knowing everybody by name. And when she called a student by name, he's like, "You know my name." And just something that simple can make a change in a student's life.
Yeah, that was another good story, you're right. And the book does admit a lot of emotions, right? And that's great, but are there practical applications? And I think on 146 it talks about 10 ways you can challenge yourself to choose a positive response. And reading through there, give 2 minutes of your time to one student and one staff member every day, right? Now, that's easy and that can be done.
Yep.
And that's applicable, right?
Yep.
Modeling forgiveness, number 5, right? You want to be an effective leader, be willing to sincerely accept an apology and move on. There was another point in the book where it talked about having the last word, and it was be willing to apologize and be willing to accept an apology. thought that was meaningful too. And then this is exactly what you referred to, right? Number 10 on that list, taking the time to smile, laugh, and encourage others to have fun.
I'm glad I went first.
That's right. I'd have stolen it. I'd have stolen it.
I think 158 kind of identifies our teachers and staff, admin. The most effective educators did not become a teacher or principal to help others be successful. They did it to change the environment and the conditions so they could have the best chance to be successful.
Chapter 6, kind of the foreword there that leads out. Never lose sight of the fact that most important measure of your success will be how you treat other people. And I think that's applicable across all professions, vocations, right? Certainly in teaching as well, education. Any other thoughts? Any thoughts from anyone else?
I appreciated the quote that he included from Irving Berlin, where he said, "Life is 10% of what you make it, the other 90% is how you take it." And I try to, I guess, model that, and I always say my response is my responsibility. So if somebody else wants to say something rude or whatever, I can't say they made me mad. Like, my response to them is my responsibility. So, that really stuck with me, and I've got that marked. I'm gonna go back to that one later. And sort of along the same lines, when he was talking about things that he wish he knew when he started his career, was don't just tell people how to do something, show them. Or don't tell them the way to be, show them the way to be. And sort of like the more is caught than taught kind of thing. Don't be like, do as I say, not as I do, but actually emulate, what you want out of people. Yeah, I think that covers everything that I had marked here, but. It was a very good book, very good book.
Yeah.
Interesting, and a lot of practical things that go beyond education and administration and just everyday life advice.
There was one, not in the book, but a student that I had when I was working here, had just got out of JDC. The first day of school, he punched another kid right in the mouth right in front of me. And the other kid had a mouthpiece in, he knew it was coming. And when I broke it up, we took the student in, and he told me, he says, "I want to go back to JDC, this is how I can do it. I get 3 meals a day, I get to take showers." I thought, how sad is his home life for something like that to happen to a student? But that's always stuck with me.
Right. And he spoke that not everything is a success, right? There are plenty of failures along the way, but that can't deter you. Well, I guess I would, if nothing else, I'd wrap us up by saying, a book about culture is I certainly know why you brought it to us, because you advocate culture, you talk about culture, you walk the walk with culture in this district very well, Mr. Smith, and so it's a good reminder of how important it is. And I can tell our author's a crier too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll just add on a closing note, since you brought that up about culture. I mean, I still remember our last discussion, the discussion about carrying the banner and how that just hit home for me. And then I start our new reading, and right off the bat, it talks about being a merchant of hope. So, I mean, those two say, I mean, that's why we do what we do. Carrying the banner for kids, being a merchant of hope is so important. And someone referred to that quote, school is the only place they feel safe. But that's why we have to carry the banner and be a merchant of hope, because our students, all of them, are depending on us. And I think I won't get into it's a lot on page 156 and 157. I think it's important to remember in our profession, like we need to be merchants of hope for ourselves and each other. Because as I've said 1,000,000 times, the jobs are difficult. Not just one, not certain jobs, all of them, because our folks pour their heart and soul into our kids every single day. And so it's important to be a merchant of hope for each other, especially, it's easy to be a merchant of hope when everything's going well but during these challenging times here in our district and our community, for years I've said that during those challenging times, you will start to hear the voices, and you'll start to have people having different opinions and so on and so forth. And it's important to continue to be a merchant of hope during those difficult times and to be there for each other, because some of us need more of that now more than ever before. And every day, especially, like I said, in this profession. So it was good read. I haven't talked with Mandy yet about any possibilities for next year, so we'll see.
Great, thank you.
Yep. All right, our next item for board discussion, memorandum of understanding for a change to the latchkey assistant and latchkey team leader wage schedules beginning with the first day of the 2024 summer latchkey program. I'll turn it over to Mrs. Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Members of the board, later this evening, you're going to be asked to approve an MOU that's in regards to our latchkey program, and I just wanted to share a little bit of background information about the need for that MOU. As you're aware, the mission of our district's latchkey program is to provide experiences that will foster the social, emotional, and intellectual growth of each child that they serve. The program offers before and after childcare to kindergarten through 5th grade students during the school year, as well as a summer program. And during a review, we discovered that the latchkey program's fees have not kept current with market value, and they have actually remained the same for at least 10 plus years. They have never increased. So in a comparison study, Fairfield City School District's latchkey fees are significantly lower than other nearby before and after school care locations, including Hamilton, Lakota, Jelly Bean, and Kids Are Kids. And I do want to make sure that I highlight that our latchkey program is self-funded, and no general funds are used to support the program. Recently, Mr. Crepo has conducted a cost analysis that showed that by increasing the fees from $10 to $14 for both morning and afternoon sessions, we would remain competitive with other area businesses while still remaining affordable to the families who utilize the program. In addition, the latchkey program has struggled over the years to attract and retain employees due to the lower wages that were currently being offered as per the contract. So currently we have 3 vacant positions that we are struggling to fill, and it's due to the lower wages of those positions. The proposed MOU is to increase the hourly rates by $3 an hour, was approved by the local union, and it would allow for our district to offer more competitive wages to prospective candidates and current latchkey employees. And the cost analysis shows that the latchkey funds to support those would be available to support those proposed wage increases, while still continuing to provide an excellent before and after school experience for our students here in Fairfield. And as we know, the need for before and after school, quality before and after school care for our kids is becoming even more necessary as we move forward. So, and again, just want to say that Latchkey is self-funded. This has zero impact on the general fund for our district. Just allows for us to better support and provide services to our students. I just wanted to share that with you and ask if you have any questions in regards to that before you would be asked to approve it later this evening.
Just a quick question. How many children in the program? Do we know?
That's a good question. Do you know that
Roughly?
number offhand? 150.
Significant number. Yeah. Questions? Other questions?
Thank you for that information. 10 years is a long time, so.
Yeah. Prices have gone up
Self-funded helps.
everywhere for everything, yeah, so.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Our
you.
next item for board discussion is in regard to an upgrade to some HVAC controls. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, Mr. Bagley, members of the board. This past year, we have replaced the HVAC controls at Fairfield Senior High School and East Elementary, and have been very pleased with the work of the vendor, as well as the controls themselves resulting in a utility savings. At this time, part of the selection process, or at that time, excuse me, part of the selection process was to identify a program to implement district-wide. We have received pricing to expand this program to Central Elementary, Compass Elementary, and the freshman building. The funding that would be used for these upgrades will be OFCC maintenance funds. These funds are required to be used for the maintenance and upkeep of these 3 buildings and does not affect the general fund. The goal will be to bring the agreement to the board for approval at the next meeting. If approved, we will work with the vendor to have the project completed by the start of the 2024-2025 school year.
Okay, again, necessary work.
Very much so. Quite frankly, we've been so pleased with the vendor from the maintenance perspective of the maintenance team, Jeff Berg, Jamie Berkey, et cetera, even working with the buildings. The benefits it's been awesome. It's been a great thing for us.
Good.
Yep. Continuing the program to be very good.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.